and there have been too many races in which there has not been a Democratic challenger. So I love the energy from the party this year, making sure that we have options up and down the ballot.
Right. Right. McQuita Bradshaw ran an interesting race, but unfortunately not enough to go on to the next level.
And also shout out to Sylva Watkins, who also was in that race as well, another black woman that was in that race. So
All right.
we had some solid options this
All
time.
right. And of course, Shondell Booker, victorious
Brooks.
brother.
Shondell Brooks, we
That's all
excited
right.
Yeah.
about that one.
Shondell Brooks.
All right.
Yeah, no, yeah, she's a good
Forgive
person.
me.
Yeah, I'm excited about her too. She still has a general election to go through, and I think she can pull it out. We need to galvanize, get behind her, and make sure that she gets there. And we need another female voice in the House, and she fits the bill. And I think she has a great story behind us, an unfortunate story,
Right.
but I'm glad that and look forward to serving with her.
Right. And because of the tragedy that happened with her personally, not her personally, but in her family, her story was heard all over.
All over the country. Not
And we're
just
talking
here.
about Miss Brooks.
Correct.
Right.
Right. Yes. Yes, Miss Brooks. But I think she's going to do a great job. She has a purpose, and sometimes things happen in life, and that's what pushes us to do something a little bit more than what we thought we could do in life. And she's here, and I think she's going to have work with conviction, and she's not going to be deterred on doing what she needs to do.
Election officials are saying it was a low voter turnout. How can we get people to the polls if they don't go to the polls? Miss Waterfield. Oh, okay. Mr. Dixie. Brother Dixie.
And we can write a book, and we be billionaires. I think the key is, and we've talked about this many times, you gotta get people to give a damn, right? But you gotta find out, what do people give a damn about,
Right.
and that's the issue where we are right now. People have become so apathetic, and when it comes to voting, thinking, well, my vote doesn't matter, it doesn't count. I don't like who's running. I don't like this. But I put it in perspective like this: I would not have this chance if my ancestors did not risked their lives and shed their blood and went through uh, and accepted some of those consequences, that just for me to have the ability to vote.
Right.
So I take it very serious. I vote in every election. And I hope that everyone would take that same approach too,
Do,
because it's
do you
very
feel
important.
a lot of voters felt the primary wasn't that important of an election?
Go ahead.
What about that, Ms. Porterfield?
So yeah, I do think sometimes people have voter fatigue because they feel like
Mhm.
it's so many elections, and I do think that we have to do a better job, just as a community, as families and churches. Like we have to do a better job with civic engagement to make sure that people really understand what voting is. And sometimes people think that voting is like one all be all, and they think if I vote for the perfect candidate, everything's going to get better. But voting is one tool, and electing the right people is one tool, but it still takes all of us working together, our nonprofits, our communities, our churches, our families, our schools, all have to work with elected officials for us to like really move the needle. So I think that we have to do a better job of like explaining that to people. Like there's not one person coming to save us. Like we have to all participate in this process.
Everybody has to be involved. You
Right.
can't just push a button and think that everything's gonna magically be okay. You have to advocate for yourself, for your community, for your family. And that's what
Absolutely.
we're here for.
Right.
Absolutely. And one other thing too, you asked about like how do we increase voter turnout? I think bringing exciting candidates, right? So you
Mhm.
look at Shondell Brooks' race. There were so many people that said a black woman could not win that district, but she brought energy. She had an amazing story, and she fought like a mom. And people know when mama bears get into that fight, we
Right.
don't lose. And I think this was just a good example of how when you invest in black women and invest in women, invest in black people, and specifically invest in black women, we win. And
Right.
this was a great story of people feeling like she couldn't make it, people working against her on it. But now we about to have a black woman, another black woman here in the state house, all the way up to the White House. So
Right.
that's why we have to invest in black women.
Right.
Vote like a
You want to
mother.
get crowded?
Right.
Don't get crowded for you, Brother Dixie.
Hey, I'm okay with it.
Right.
We need all the help that we can get, but let's don't forget the black men too. Now we like black women, but we
Absolutely.
got it. Take
All
both
right.
of us.
Any
to
other
get
races
together.
we need to take a closer look at?
Absolutely.
There's some races in Memphis. I know they're outside of what we're doing now. That I think that we have to pay attention on the primaries. There's some in Knoxville, in East Tennessee, in Knoxville and in Chattanooga that they were primary challengers, but we got the good people back in the seats, and then we're gonna make sure that we have a very strong caucus coming in this year. And we've done so much work over these last 2 years as the Black Caucus, and I don't think people realize what we've done. Some of the good bills we've had, some of the things that we were able to stop because we do have a really strong Black Caucus.
Absolutely.
Your feelings, 615-737-9292, or you can post your comments or questions on YouTube and Facebook. Metro Councilwoman at Large Delicia Porterfield and State Representative Vincent Dixie of District 54, our political analyst, doing the breakdown. Who were the winners and who were the losers? And what were your thoughts on the election? Post your question and also pick up the phone and you can call us, 615-737-9292. Moving on to the national scene, the stage is getting set. The delegates' votes are coming in. We're talking about, of course, Vice President Kamala Harris, who may be the next sitting president of the United States. Brother Dixie?
I'm excited for her. I mean, she has brought some excitement and the energy that we probably haven't felt since 2008.
Right.
And it's like for this, last 2 weeks, she had taken the oxygen out of the room when she came in here, and she's doing a great job. I think her campaign committee is doing what it needs to be done. They're spending some money in the right places,
Right.
and I'm looking forward to see what happens.
I
in
heard
these
about
next couple
$300
weeks.
million.
Yeah,
It's coming in.
it is a lot of money.
Right.
And so that means people are backing her, but of course it's weird that we just talked about Miss Brooks, Shondell Brooks, and the same thing. People always say, well, first of all, a woman can't win the presidency, let alone a black woman. And we're here to prove them wrong.
My comeback to that has been when people ask, are we ready for a black woman president? Are we ready for a 34-time convicted felon president, right? Are we ready for
Right.
a rapist, a racist, someone who has shown who they have been? So it's really important that we, shift the narrative. Vice President Kamala Harris is more than prepared for this position and has the receipts to show for it. So we're very excited to be supporting her.
The nomination seems to be in the bag for her. The delegates' votes are coming in.
Absolutely.
I'll
I think
cast mine.
and
You're
shout
a
out to
delegate?
I am.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
No.
and shout out to Tennessee for
Yeah.
leading the way on that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes Tennessee is the last in many things, but Tennessee, our state, was the first state to commit their delegates. If you remember when we were here
Right.
2 weeks ago, the news
Right.
came out that President Biden was not going to seek re-election about 2 minutes before we started that show. So it was a lot of real
Right.
raw emotion and confusion and not knowing where we were going. But that same day, the Tennessee delegates had a call and they committed their delegates to
Right.
Vice President Harris, which then set a domino effect of other states also committing.
And I did talk to one of the delegates, Frida Blair,
Mm-hmm.
member of the Metro School Board,
Mm-hmm.
and also a delegate. She said, we sent them, the support in. Everyone else sent the support in. So now it's up to a running mate. Any ideas who she may pick?
Man, I've been getting a lot of phone calls. I keep saying, I got to talk to my family first.
Right.
I can't commit to that right now.
Mhm.
So, but no,
Okay.
I'm just joking. No, I think there's a lot of good people out there. You have the governor from Pennsylvania. Well, really, pretty much all the governors. Andy Bashir. Um, uh, I always blank on
Right.
her name.
Is there anyone
from,
that you like?
from Michigan?
Okay.
Big Gretch.
Yeah,
I like Big Gretch.
yeah, Gretchen Whitmer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who do you
I
like?
I like Big
Councilwoman.
Gretch. I also like Tim Waltz. Now I'll tell you who my dream ticket is. I know it's not gonna happen, but we could dream. But baby,
Right.
if we could get Congresswoman Jasmine, boy, that would be my dream
Mm.
ticket. I know it's not gonna happen, but I would love, love, love to do
Right.
that.
My pick
That'd
would
be
be
too much fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my pick would be Andy Bashir. I really like what he's doing in Kentucky, and he's had to, work with both sides, and he's still gotten things done for the state of Kentucky. They're not where they want to be, but he's shown that he can work in a hostile environment.
Right.
Absolutely.
The campaign rhetoric is coming in
Mm-hmm.
from the Republican challenger, former President Donald Trump. And of course, the vice president is staying above it.
Mhm.
What was that? The former first lady said that when they go low, we go high.
Go lower. Oh
Right.
no, that was
Oh.
Eric Mays.
We-
That was
we go
Eric
to the
Mays.
depths of
Councilman Eric
hell.
Mays. Sorry about
When
that.
they go low, we go to the depths of hell.
Right. Well,
No.
what about all this rhetoric?
It's amazing, but it shows what's really in people's hearts. But we both ran campaigns, and I had a very contested. My first two campaigns were very contested, and they were very ugly on the other side. But I chose to always stay above that and stick on the issues, because when you get down, like my grandmother would always say, if you see two fools arguing, nobody can tell who's the fool.
Right.
Mhm.
So don't go down in the mud. I think if she stays on the policies, what she wants to do, I think we'll be fine because he has no policy that he's really promoting right now. He's just throwing dirt. Basically,
Right.
he's saying he's so frustrated that he doesn't know what to do. So he's basically done the equivalent of saying your mama.
Right.
Right.
You
But
know,
he repented after being shot.
for what? For what? About 30 minutes?
Right. He said,
Allegedly.
you know, it was the Lord's work that I'm here. He
Yeah.
saved me.
You know that glass may have scraped his ear. Who knows? It healed up quite nicely, didn't it?
Yeah.
Though, like that.
And you know what?
Mm.
Maybe in his mind, he thinks, oh, well, apparently I'm here for a reason. I must be on the right path. So let me double down on what I'm doing.
Right.
Mm.
And then that's what I think that I got from it is what from his behavior afterwards and the disrespect and the tone that he talked to those women in on that in the NABJ
Oh my Lord.
conference.
Right.
It shows what he thinks about us.
Right.
And I think that it also, to your point, we felt this energy before with President Obama, right? And like this was a energy, it was the audacity to hope. I remember I was a young mother. My baby was pretty much a toddler at that time. And I went to North Carolina and knocked on doors for President Obama. The first time I've ever gone out of state to campaign for somebody. And we see that same energy with Vice President Kamala Harris. And I think when you are leading from a place of like love and hope and what you want to accomplish, that energy is far greater than people that are leading from a place of hate.
hmm So now, and the other thing I want you to think of, like we have children the same age.
Right.
So my this year, everybody in my family be able to vote. They, my kids didn't they never had the idea that black people couldn't be the president because when they
Hmm.
were born, a black person was the president. Their first thing of the first experience of seeing a white president was Trump, and they're like, white people can be president. They didn't know. So you have a whole new generation of children who are not stuck or voters is stuck in that box of saying only a white man can be president.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And that's powerful. And I think it's inspiring to so many people. So I myself would never want to be president. That's not what I
No.
believe that God has called
Highest
me to
office in
do,
the land.
right? And once I saw a black woman at the top of the ticket, it reminded me I could go as high as I want to go. I could do whatever it
Absolutely.
is that God is leading me to do, right? So I think that it's inspiring young women, it's inspiring young people, it's just inspiring our community as a whole and inspiring black people. Like we don't have to be afterthought. We don't have to be the second best. We could be at the top of that ticket and we can win, like Shondell
It's
Brooks
on to the
did.
general election, 615-737-9292. Any questions or how you feel about what is coming up with this campaign is now down to, well, we still don't have a vice president for the vice president, who will
Yeah.
soon be the Democratic nominee
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
president.
take your time. There's no
Yeah,
need to rush at this point.
right.
We need to
But
vet
do
everybody
you
and get
feel
this
that she
through.
needs to have a vice president in place
Well,
before the convention starts?
no, I don't think so. I think like even on the other side, they waiting to announce during their convention. So why do we need to give if they're whoever it is, they're gonna attack either way. So why not just wait till the night of? Why would you? There's no reason or benefit to announce early.
It's a battle on the road to the White House. 615-737-9292. We have Cheryl on line one, and thank you for checking out the show on YouTube and Facebook. All
All
right.
right. First of all, I want to say in honor of the Olympics, I'm sorry, you are the GOAT, Ernie Allen.
Thank you.
And number two, I want to say, listening to your guests, I definitely hope that we do better with getting out voting on the local level. And as far as Kamala Harris, I'm praying and praying, and we had to keep praying that she wins this. It is amazing to see, especially, when you look on Facebook, Twitter, you got white men for Kamala Harris,
Hmm
black women, sororities, fraternities. People are coming out across the board, helping her to raise money. People are excited. So, we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're going to say some prayers that we can send Donald Trump back to the pits of where that goes. Come November, he needs to go have several seats back because he has
Right.
truly
Amen.
lost it. He
You're
has
right.
All
truly
right.
lost it. So, to your guests, thank you for being there. I've enjoyed listening to you all, and you all have a blessed Sunday.
All
You
right.
too.
You too.
And
Ernie,
you too.
Ernie, I'd like to just say something that Ms. Cheryl just mentioned. We're talking about the local level. Voting on the local level is extremely important. If you've seen just what happened in Williamson County and some other things, you see the governor, which is unheard of, coming out to endorse people and raise money just to get his candidate in. They spent over almost $1 million on one
Wow.
candidate to get his candidate in there. So that, in essence, what he did was he flipped that seat from a no to a yes for his voucher scam. And that's why it's so important that we get out there and we vote, because nobody, I have yet to see a school district or any higher administration say, yes, this is a good thing. Nobody has said that vouchers, we want vouchers, except for like the ultra rich people, and this gives them the tax break.
Absolutely.
Do you think the White House need to be concerned about the House and the Senate as well? Ms. Porterfield?
I mean, I think that when we're looking at what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to build a multiracial, multi-ethnic democracy that is fighting for working people, black people, minorities, marginalized communities. Like we have to make sure that we are holding the line, and that Democrats are able to win seats in every level of government, from
Hmm.
local government all the way to the top, because every level of government is passing policies that impact your lives. To Representative Dixie's point, the local level are the ones that are the closest to you. When people say they don't do politics, well, politics gonna do you. If you got a kid in school, if
Right.
you drive down the street, if you walk on the sidewalk, if you ride a bus, all of those things are things that are done at a local level. If you want your kid to have a textbook in school, that's the school board and the city council. So yes, we have to make sure that we are holding, that we have Democratic majorities across the board, because this is the party that's fighting for everybody.
and
All
it's
right.
and it's
Brother
about
Dixie.
and it's about preparing the next generation or the next group of leaders, right? You've got to learn government from somewhere. And a lot of people matriculate; they go from the council to the state, or the council to the state senate, and you move up. So it's the long game that we need to be playing. So yes, the government, that federal government, definitely is paying attention to what's going on at the state level, because that's who pushed the policies up or down. Is the state house.
Any inspirations for you going from state representative to U.S. representative?
Such a nasty question from a nasty man. Nasty question. Now, you know what? I really truly don't have any right now, but I know that my time is probably drawing close to being a state representative, and I don't know what the next thing is going to be for me to do. I just got to pray for it. It's a Sunday. And maybe if the opportunity comes, then I'll look at it, but I don't have the aspiration to be the next U.S. congressman or the governor. But if it
Right.
happens, it happens. It has to be like the perfect timing, like it was for me to get this seat. I was able to get people excited about going to the polls and listening to my story
Right.
and making it happen. If that was to happen again, maybe we'll see how it
Okay.
goes.
Representative Vincent Dixie,
That is
not
me.
congressman at this point.
No, not yet.
615-737-9292. Your take on the election. What needs to be done in order for the Democrats to return to the White House, and what also needs to be done to get the Vice President, Kamala Harris, elected President of the United States? Your take, 615-737-9292. Metro Councilwoman at Large Delicia Porterfield and State Representative Vincent Dixie of District 54 are our political analysts. What's next? And during this convention, what should be next for the Democrats? Ms. Porterfield.
I think it's important that the Democrats continue to build out our platform. Like, what does it mean to truly be a Democrat, right? And I think that one thing that you see with the Republican Party is like party loyalty. It doesn't matter what is on the table; they're going to support their party. I think what you see with Democrats is that we have such a strong moral compass that sometimes. That can cause a little bit of division. And I think what we're seeing right now with Vice President Kamala Harris is that she's uniting all
Right.
sides of this party, whether you are moderate, whether you are progressive, far left, liberal. She's been able to unite everyone in the party. And we've even seen conservatives that are coming over. I was reading on Facebook today about a woman who's voted conservative her whole life. She's voting Democrat for the first time
Mhm.
because of Kamala Harris and just seeing what's at stake. So I think the biggest thing for the party is to really make sure that we have a platform going forward that's not leaving people behind, and a platform that we as a party can get behind.
Good, Brother Dixie.
I think that I would agree. You just got to have just common sense issues, right? We
Right.
just need to really focus on four things, right? How do we make sure people have money to pay their bills? How they make sure they have a roof over their head? How to make sure they got enough food to eat? And if they get sick, go to a doctor. Now, once we solve all that, then we can fight over the other stuff. And I think this is an opportunity. What we have is this is a lifetime opportunity that Kamala Harris has given us, that all these different groups are coming together. Now that we're together, we should be able to organize and be able to
Mm.
disseminate information really quickly and be able to get people out there to
Right,
vote.
right.
You should see over these next few weeks, people should be flooding your neighborhoods, knocking on doors, doing things of that nature, because you got more than one group working together now. And that's what
Absolutely.
we've missed in the past. We've worked in silos so much that we forget that, hey, the least believes, she might not believe everything that I believe in, but she believes in about 80% of what I believe in. That's good enough. And let's go do whatever. Because if she helps me with my 80%, I'm going to help her with that other 20.
Right. I remember during a campaign speech, the vice president, Kamala Harris, said, "Do you want to still live in the past or go back to the past, or do you want to go into the future?" Another question was raised: why are so many blacks supporting Donald Trump? Any idea at all?
Oh, I think that that's a false narrative right there. It's not that
Oh,
there are so many blacks that are supporting Donald Trump. What they are doing is they are elevating the very few black people that are supporting Donald Trump, right? So, and again, let's flip that narrative, because why don't we ask the question of why so many white people supporting Vice President Kamala Harris, right?
okay.
Like this is all about a narrative building, and they are building a narrative that black people are supporting Donald Trump after he says things like black jobs and that immigrants are taking our black jobs, as he says things that black men are supporting him because they can relate to him as a felon. That's a false narrative, and that is what they are promoting to try to
That
sway
we can
people.
relate to him because he's a felon.
That's absolutely what he
So what is
said.
he trying to say? All blacks are felons?
Well, he said that all, if you just kind of put everything together, you remember the comment that he made that the people that are coming in from Mexico are the rapists, the drug
Mhm.
dealers, and those are the immigrants that are coming over here. Well, if you fast forward to this comment that said the immigrants are taking, Mexicans are taking our black jobs. So are he saying that our black jobs are being drug dealers, criminals, rapists? So what is he saying about us? Is that he think is that what he think that we really do? Is we the bottom of the totem pole here? I mean, there's in every walk of life and every nationality there are good people that do good work. There's also bad people that do bad things.
Right. What about
And
voting across party lines? Where we see on the vote saying, I'm not so much for Trump, but I'm going to what is it, anti-Trump for Harris?
yeah, I think it's just common sense has to kick in. Like when you talk about we don't want to go back, I think some people do want to go back, and and you have to look at what do they want to go back to.
Mhm.
And that history was a bad time, especially for black people. I can't speak. I'm not going to use the term people of color. I'm going to say for black people because I want to
Right.
talk about it specifically. We had a lot of issues. Where people were raping us, burning us alive,
Mhm.
things that killing us, hanging us, raping our women, raping men too. Also, all of these things you're doing, he just wants to sweep it under the rug and say, "Oh no, let's go back to that." No, we're
Right.
not. We're going to move forward because we've made so many accomplishments and moved this world forward. We've built this country on the backs of black people with all the um, inventions that we've done over the years. So it's amazing that people would say, "Let's go back." Go back to what? And I find it offensive when you say that. And if I talk to a black person that says that they are voting for Trump, I will not engage them in a conversation because I don't want to get my blood pressure
What about independence?
up.
I do think you're going to see people go across party lines to cast a vote for common sense, a vote for decency, a vote for their children's future. I think the fi- former President Trump has made a huge miscalculation when he brags about him taking down Roe v.
Mm,
Wade, and he does not fully understand how galvanized women, trans men, and non-binary people are about protecting this, but also men on that white men for Kamala Kyle. Like I may or may not have been listening on the YouTube, had to make sure the people were staying,
Right.
understanding that assignment and making sure that they were staying on target there. But even in that call, you had white men that were talking about, I have a daughter, and heaven
mhm,
forbid if my daughter's raped or something happens, I want my daughter to have options.
yeah.
So I think that that is one way that we're going to galvanize people across the party line to vote for common sense and decency.
I also think that we have to work. People have to understand like what's at stake. It's not because I like this person, I like that person.
Absolutely.
Right.
You see, he had 4 picks on the Supreme Court right now. You potentially this next president could have 2 more. And you've seen what he's done with those four. Imagine if he
Absolutely.
had two more. And we talk about the Supreme Court issues, we talk about women's reproductive rights, and they want to do away with all the DEI just to try to make the playing field level for Black people. You talk about Social Security. They want to ban schools, disband the Department of Education, which is a big deal. And I want to say
Absolutely.
Department of Education is not just K through 12, well, pre-K through 12. That includes higher education as well. They want to do away with scholarships. They basically, in essence, it will close our HBCUs down because they'll bleed them dry with money.
Right. And I heard the President Biden say maybe it's time now for term limits
Oh,
for the Supreme Court.
yeah.
I think
Mm.
President Biden has a little bit more time left on his term and would love to see him doing some radical, bold things over these next couple of months. He don't have to worry about being reelected. So obviously, you don't want to piss off your base, but I do think
Right.
that this is an opportunity for him to be bold in some of his
Is he
actions.
more of a lame duck president right now?
I think he can still get some things
Get
done
some
because
things
he
done?
still has the House. It's very close, but he
Absolutely.
still has the House. And I think there's some things that he could push through. And I think that with the term limits, I think he was wanting to like do 16-year terms, like two 16-year terms, 32 years and doing
It's still a
anything. That's
long
a
Right.
lot.
time.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Right. And since he made the announcement saying, I'm not running for reelection,
Mm,
it looks stronger already.
mm,
So it reminds me of the old Joe,
mm,
even when he was a senator for all those years.
yeah.
It was between him and Ed Kennedy. Man,
Yeah,
they ruled the
I
Senate.
don't necessarily think term limits are bad in any level of politics. I really don't think that that's a bad idea.
Hmm.
I don't think that anybody should be a lifelong politician. Because you got people. Let's look at Mitch McConnell. This man had like two strokes in front of national television, and he's still up there. He has one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel, and they're still up there voting for him.
And
Yeah.
they still stood by their man.
Right, right. It
Right.
doesn't matter. They just need a body.
Right.
Right.
And that's a whole nother conversation for
Right.
another day. But the point is like I think that as a time that it's a time for me to move on and let the next generation come along and take what I believe in, but they have their own values and they can move the ball down the field.
And build the bench too. That's the
Mhm.
other thing that we have to make sure that we're doing, that we have to mentor people coming behind us. I mentored several people that wanted to run for council because we have to make sure if we want diversity, if we want Black people serving in these seats, if we want, so I'm progressive, I like progressive people serving in these seats. I want to make sure that people have an opportunity to serve in these things. We can't hold a seat forever. Like we have to build a bench to
We have
make
to
sure that
pass
we're
the
gonna
torch.
have. Absolutely.
Right. 615-737-9292. Your questions, your comments, and we want to hear from you. Also, you can post your questions or your comments on YouTube or Facebook. Go to Let's Talk Nashville for Facebook. Grab a phone line, 615-737-9292. It's the battle to the White House, and of course, the DNC is coming up. Will the vice president announce her vice presidential running mate? Will she indeed secure all the votes for the delegates? 615-737-9292. We need to get people to the poll.
Hmm.
And so let's talk to that apathetic voter again, Brother Dixie.
Get your
To the polls.
right. No, I mean, there's so much at stake. I think sometimes there's so much information out there and a lot of misinformation, and sometimes it's hard to sift through. But people have to understand. Like my wife is a librarian, and we were just talking to my youngest daughter today. He was like, she's the most intellectual person that doesn't read unless she's forced to. And she's forced to read, and she becomes a reader. But
Right.
she has asked some of the most intellectual questions. But just imagine if she just would take the time to read just a little bit more on her own instead of us having to force her to read. So I think that the people need to find whatever it is that is going to move you. What is important to you, and what candidate aligns with your beliefs. It doesn't matter how you vote. For me, I don't really care how you vote. I just want you to vote. But like I said, I can talk forever about why voting is important for me. And even when my daughters were younger, when they were like 2 and 4, and even strollers, they would go in and go with me to the polls. It's a habit. It's what they're doing. So this year in November will be the first time I'll have everybody in my household that could vote. And that's a big deal. There was excitement. We sit down and we talk about it, and they make their own decisions.
Go
Yeah.
to the polls. Go register to vote. Whatever you need to do just to make sure that you're part of the voting process. 615-737-9292. What are your views on this upcoming campaign, the race for the White House? We have Cheryl on line 2. Hi, Cheryl. Thank you for viewing Let's Talk.
Well, hello everyone. How are you?
Hey,
Hello,
Cheryl.
Long time no hear.
Thank-
It's a different Cheryl.
Oh.
Sharon Allen Huff.
Yes, it's Cheryl Huff.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Hey, hey,
Cheryl, the,
hey.
the last caller's name was Cheryl,
Oh
so that's
yeah,
why we're laughing.
right.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I know we hear everybody always saying we got to get the people to the polls. We have to get them to the polls. We can get them to the poll all day long, but when they get to the polls and don't know who they voting for or why they're voting, I mean, we just did a disservice to them anyway.
Hmm.
So we have to educate people. We have to let people know. Let's first take care of our local election. Once we take care of our local election, and then we can worry about the presidential and all of that. But our local election is what's killing and hurting us right now. And we have to take care of that. And that rhetoric and all that mess that Trump is talking about, I bet you won't get on that floor and debate Kamala. And see, he had a theory, and he was going after Joe. And he knew what he wanted to say to him, because all they keep saying is, you too old, you can't do that. He's not old, because my uncle is 89 years old and he could run a race better than you and me and anybody else. It was just he had that brain surgery. And because of that surgery he had is what got him where he is now, with his memory loss and his slurring of his words. So it's not his age. And so that's not the factor. But we got to get together. I don't know why my black people, I don't know why they keep saying, oh, well, I'm going to vote for Trump, because they think it's money in it. They voting for Trump because they think they're going to get some money. And that is a shame, because you can buy us with $1. And that's
Mm.
sad. What's happening right here in Nashville, the stuff that's happening right here in Nashville. These people know exactly what to do. Let's go give them some money and they'll be quiet. And then let the ones that keep on fussing and arguing and mad, they'll be out there. But we get the ones that means a lot and call themselves leaders and all of this stuff. We just dangle some money in there and they'll be quiet.
Hmm.
And that's a shame. It's a
Wow.
shame before God. And
Yeah.
that's what I have to say.
All right, we'll get a response for that, Cheryl.
Pass the
Thank
collection
Yeah,
plate after
pass the collection plate.
that.
I
No.
think a couple of things that I agree definitely what Cheryl said about, we have to educate people on these elections. And going off of something that Representative Dixie said, there's a lot of misinformation that goes out, and a lot of people, unfortunately, are getting their information through social media. And I just saw something recently that talked about how much money was injected to the 2016 race and the 2020 race, and how much money that like Russia was injecting to this race to get President Trump elected. And one of the things that came out of that was that, Kamala Harris had locked up all these black men for drug charges, and then she had arrested all these single mothers for truancy. But if you actually dig into the facts of what happened, I believe there were maybe 1,600 people that were charged on drug charges while she was the DA. Of them, only 45 people actually
Hmm.
served time, and there's no demographic graphic breakdown. So there's no way of knowing of those 45 people how many were black, how many were men. So we have to combat misinformation with the facts. She did not lock up one black mother for truancy. Now, they did get those babies back in school. They did work with the families to get those children back in school. And these were people that were chronically absent, not just, I was sick today and I missed school. These were kids that were chronically absent that was having an impact on their education and their
Wow.
safety. So we have to make sure that we know and understand the facts, so that when we see people presenting misinformation, we can present them with the facts. And there are always going to be people that choose to be ignorant, right? And I want to say that
Right.
again. Some people choose
Choose.
ignorance, right? And you can give them the facts and they still choose to perpetuate misinformation. And for me, may the good Lord watch between me and D while we're absent one from
Absolutely. From
another, because I'm
another.
not going to disturb my peace trying to argue you down with the facts.
Not
And
him.
let me go back to a
Right.
question for the president of the Middle Tennessee chapter of the National Action Network, Cheryl Allen Huff, on the line with us as well, and her take on the race to the White House. What are some of the actions that NAN, your organization, will take to increase people going to the polls?
Well, only thing I can say is that we need to get everyone educated and then get them to the polls. We have a lot of people saying, I'm knocking on these doors, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm getting people signed up, but your numbers don't tell that.
Hmm.
Our numbers don't show that. We have to be real serious and we have to be honest with ourselves and with our community. We have to get these people out here and doing these forums, and so people can get educated on who we have running and why are you running.
Right.
Because, like I said, we've had several people to come into the community and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I promise you, and I'm going to do that. And once they get in that office, they lock their doors, change their telephone number. You can't even talk with them anymore. So that's something we have to stop doing. And as a member of National Action Network, our thing is educating, educating, educating. Because if we don't, we're in trouble. You
No,
can
All
call
right.
my
I'll tell you what it is. You're right. Once they get their vote, they don't come back across that bridge. And you know what bridge I'm talking about.
Right.
Uh,
yes. And
they
if
do
you
not.
haven't
They
been
do
in that
not.
if
And
you haven't been in that community in 4 and 8 years and we never heard of you, why are you coming now? But see, that's what we have to stop allowing that happening. I don't even know anything about you, but when it's time to vote, I'm in your face. I'm on your docket. I want to do whatever you need me to do. And that's not good. That's not good. On August the 9th, at 5:30 at the Tennessee Justice Center, we are having a panel discussion with the judges to know what they do in their courtroom, the operation of their courtroom, and we also going to have some attorneys that's going to be there because the community want to talk with them. They want to know what they do, how they can do this, what do we need to do, because that's what we do when we put you in office. We want to hold you accountable.
Know who you're voting for.
yeah, you hit on a couple of things. Two things I want to talk to you about. One thing you said we need to mobilize. People are mobilizing. They're getting them registered to vote. You have to educate them, right? We got to educate. Then the last one is just getting them to the polls. Transportation. How do you not necessarily transportation is in the sense of transportation, but transportation is like getting them to the polls.
Right.
Those three things have to happen in concert. And if they don't, that's what we fall short of. That last one, getting people out to the polls, the motivation to get to the polls. And the other
So
thing
we,
that I wanted to say about
mhm,
is that we, especially in Davidson County, the black population picks the mayor. And if
mhm,
we would vote in a block, we can choose whoever becomes the next mayor. And they understand that. The people who are running understand that. And as we
yeah,
move to this next mayor's race, we need to understand we need to pick the candidates that we need to be in there and who we want to run. And we can't have 5 and 6 and 20 people running on a
So you're
Democratic ticket.
referring to a consensus candidate.
Exactly.
yeah. We have to come together and we have to know who the person is, what we want, because if not, we're going to continue getting what we got. Now, we had a mayor that come into our community and got 90% of the black votes. And now you can't have a real conversation with him. You can't talk to him. Why? Why is that? That's bad business. And if you want to keep it real, we have to start vetting these people that come into the community. Don't let them, we need to have them sign an MOU. We have to do something to make sure that they're real when they come out here. And we do. We have a transit. He just joined in with us, and he have his own transit. He have two 56 passenger buses, and then he have 4 or 5 minivans that hold 26. And we're going to utilize all of them. And whatever we need to do to get people to the polls, all these people that's supposed to have been signed up and all that, we need them all. We're going to get them to the polls because this is important. Every election is important. That's what people say all the time. But this is important because we have to know who we putting in those seats when it comes to the legislature. Those are the ones that makes the bills and pass the laws,
All
not
right.
all this other stuff. So that's what's important, and that's what we have to do.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Cheryl Allen Huff, who is the president of the Middle Tennessee chapter of the National Action Network. And she says, know who you're voting for. Come to the forums, come to the panels, come to the registrations, whatever you need to do, but go walk up and ask that candidate face to face, if you will. Shake his hand, shake her hand, and say, this is what I need. Will you represent me? And I don't know about the money part, but I do know a debate needs to be had. And of course, the vice president, Kamala Harris, says you were scheduled for another debate with the president, and we need to have that on ABC. He says, no, I want to do it.
We have to, look out for as well.
Right. So maybe he's setting the tone around the nation. If local people say, well, if he can run, I can run.
Absolutely not. I think what he is doing is moving the goalposts for himself, but not for other people.
Okay.
He's not bringing any ban the box policies. He's not bringing any policies that are going to
Right.
help other people that have been wrongly or rightfully convicted of any felons. He is just moving the goalposts for himself.
Right. And
Right.
he also said, if I win, then you won't have to worry about going back to the polls.
Right. That man's crazy.
I'm going to
But
change that.
I think that we talked about the convicted felon. If he lived here in Tennessee, he was domiciled here in Tennessee, he couldn't run for elected office and he couldn't vote. If there's one thing I would want to change, should be changed. I know you've had Raheem Buford on the
Right.
show several times, and he has a very interesting concept. When you talked about voting, he was like, how people who are saying, "Oh, well, I don't know if I'm gonna vote. I don't know. I want to vote for this." He's like, "Listen, I'm a convicted felon. I can't vote. So why don't you use your vote to vote for you? Vote for me."
On my
Right.
behalf.
Not
Yeah.
vote for me, but in particular, but vote for the choice that I want. So if you're going to throw yours away anyway or not use it for me. And that's another way that we can get out there and get those. And I would love to work with him even more and trying to furthering that program because there's no reason that somebody shouldn't be able to vote just because they were convicted of a crime and they served their time and they paid their debt back to society.
Right.
Why are we still withholding their vote? Their vote.
Absolutely.
Right. Also, a shout out to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office. They went around to all the inmates and see who was available, who
Mhm.
was eligible,
Mhm.
and let them cast their ballots.
Yeah, because there's people in jail, not prison, but people in jail that can vote, because they haven't been convicted of anything yet. So yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But don't worry about it if I win.
You
Councilwoman
know,
Porterville.
he's not hid his hand. He has told us exactly what he will do. They have told us time and time again what they think about people, from calling us childless cat ladies, to talking about if you vote now, you're not going to have to vote again. Talking about there's good people on both sides. When you're talking about one side that are
Right.
driving cars into protest and killing people. Even the question that he got about Sonya Massey, the way that he addressed the execution of a black woman in her home
Mm,
who should have never been executed, the way that he addressed it, the way that he addressed the journalists at the conference that he should have never been in at the first place, but the way that he addressed those journalists, he's telling us time and time again what he thinks of us as black people, what he thinks of women, what he thinks of the educational system, what he thinks of this society, and he's telling us what he's going to do. So I don't have any sympathy for anybody that is choosing to vote for him. And what we're seeing now, it's like we're seeing some celebrities like Amber Rose and different people that are galvanizing behind him. But people have to realize you're not in Amber Rose tax bracket. And
right.
a vote for him when people when he's fighting for policies that are going to help them not pay taxes, fighting for policies that are going to benefit them economically, they don't have your best interest at heart. And we don't need to listen to celebrities for political advice. Go out and educate yourself.
He challenged the president, Joe Biden, on his last election. During the first debate, you may remember he was asked again, if the results come back that you lose, are you going to accept the results this time? He wouldn't answer it.
Well, I mean, he's showing again what Council Lady is telling us. He's shown us who he is and what he's about. He's a sore loser, and once he start to see the tide turning, he'll start to try to taint the pool and saying it's rigged, it's rigged. He puts in try to predestine to and puts in people's mind what if it doesn't work out for me, then it had to be rigged. But if it worked out for me, then the system would work out well. I mean, you can't
Absolutely.
have it both ways. But unfortunately, he has this cult like movement where people are just following him to the depths of the end of the earth. And I don't understand, it's that Kool Aid, but I think it's ingrained in us so bad, our people, that they just are who they are. And it's hard to change somebody's heart. And we're seeing it right now that people who are like these diehard Trumps, they truly don't have um, the care for each other that we should have. If you're supposed to be a Christian and I love my
Mhm.
brother, why would I want to have a policy or do something to just try to hurt people and not try to help people?
I still feel like this is just still like the pushback that this country had the audacity to elect a black man as president, and we've been paying for it ever since. We've seen such an escalation in just political violence, hate, rhetoric, all of these things since the audacity of electing President Obama. And there's this theory that you have some poor rural white people who feel like I may be poor, but at least I'm not black. So they're going to
Hmm,
vote for, unfortunately, voting against their best interests and voting for the party that still keeps them in a position of power, understanding that they're not in a position of power. The Democratic Party is the one that's actually trying to get hospitals out in rural
Rural areas.
Tennessee
right.
and in rural areas.
And remember, I don't want an Obamacare, but I will take affordable health care.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about now, I just kind of go back to you said that I think we kind of glossed over this when you said that politics happen locally, and I think people don't realize this, and maybe people don't realize that there was no grocery sales tax holiday this year, but we gave 1.5 billion dollars to corporate entities that didn't
Hmm.
even ask for it.
Hmm.
So when I tell you that politics are local, that's truly hurting people. That does two things in their pocket. You're not putting more money in people's pocket, and you're not putting more food on their table. And we
Absolutely.
have to understand the dynamics of what's going on locally because they're just following these clowns that are in charge here in Tennessee are just following the playbook that Alec wrote or the Heritage Foundation. They don't
Hmm.
have any original thoughts. I
Right.
mean, this state is being run by clowns,
Right.
literally.
Mm.
It's a circus.
What are some of the top things we need to know in order to prepare for this November ballot?
would say the first thing is to check your voter registration status. There are people that have not voted in a while. Make sure that you've not been purged off their roster.
Right.
So, number one, check your voter registration status. And if you are not registered to vote, get registered to vote. Number two, talk to all your friends, your family. I was out getting dinner the other night and I was talking to a young woman who just moved to Nashville. And I said, "Oh, have you changed your voter registration status?" So we cannot shy away from those conversations. Make sure that everyone you come in contact with is registered to vote. And then talk to people about what's at stake in this election and help them come up with a plan to vote. Don't wait till election day. You could get a flat tire, you could wake up with COVID, anything could happen. Go during early voting, cast your vote, and bring people with you. Bring your neighbors, your family, your children. Actually, bring people with you to the polls.
Right. And if you do wait till election day, stay there. Don't get out of line because they
Absolutely.
will not turn you back.
No, no,
Brother Dixie,
they'll be there to the end.
what we
Um,
need to know, get ready for this vote.
I don't. The council lady, the one that's taking my place, seems to have all the answers. So I don't know what else I can add to
It's
that.
room at the end for everybody,
Right.
brother.
No, I think that what you said is more important to make sure that you have that conversation because I always make a post. People forget about early voting, right? And
Mm,
because it was very subdued this year,
sure
it was
was.
Right.
no
Very light.
excitement about it. So I made a post like every day, like go vote, go vote. And when
Right.
a couple people reached out to me and said, "Hey man, I went to vote because I saw your post," and
Mhm.
so it helps, even if it helps that one person. And he took his wife with him, right? So that my one post helped two people go vote. So my thing is always just talk about it. We are always taught not to talk about politics and religion. Now look where we are in this country now. We
Right.
Mhm.
need to be talking about politics and religion because people have skewed them both.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
use it for their benefit based on the side of the story they want to tell. So
Right.
please make sure you just right now just go. Right now is the perfect time to register to vote. You got plenty of time. Takes maybe 5 minutes.
Right.
And you can do it online. You don't have to, or you can go down to the House School building and or not House School building, but the
Election
election
Commission.
commission and get your form. But it's easy to do it online. I mean, literally takes 5 minutes. I had to register this is the other thing for younger people. My daughter turns 18 in October, but I can go ahead and register her to vote now. As long as
Mhm.
she turns 18, she can turn 18 on voting day, on election day. But as long as she's already been registered to vote, she can vote. So if your
Right.
child is going to turn 18 before November, go ahead and register them to vote now.
Right. For many years, we did a comment called Community News and Headlines and want to go around the room to find out what is happening with you per se for your community news and headlines. But mine first is to give a shout out to Metro Davidson County Juvenile Court Judge Sheila Calloway. There will be a groundbreaking for the new juvenile justice system or center, and that will be on Brick Church Pike. It's coming up on Thursday. So be prepared for that. And of course, she fought for it from a long time. And now a new juvenile court justice center will be built on Brick Church Pike. The groundbreaking will be this week. And what do you have, Councilwoman?
That is so exciting and so proud of Judge Calloway and her work around this. We have a Metro Council meeting coming up this Tuesday. Every first and third Tuesday of the month, we have Metro Council meetings that start at 6:30 p.m. We have an announcement period that starts at 6 p.m. We do offer free parking when you come down to the courthouse at One Public Square. If you cannot come down to the courthouse, you can also watch on YouTube.
All
You can
right.
watch on mnn.gov. You can also watch on Facebook if you search MNN Metro Nashville Network. So, we want people to be engaged with our elected officials. If it's something that you care about, reach out to your council member, follow them on
Right.
the socials.
Right. And remember, you are the Metro Councilwoman at large, and
Absolutely.
you're representing the city.
And the county, all of Davidson
Right.
County.
And representing District 54, State Representative Vincent Dixie.
Yeah.
Anything coming up in your district?
Yes, on September the 7th, the Northwest Y is sponsoring a 5K called the Justice Run for Justice to commemorate for a young man justice. He was out running. He was a cross country runner at White's
Hmm.
Creek. He was out running one day with his dad, and he collapsed and died. It was
Wow.
about 4 or 5 years ago.
Sorry
So
to
they
hear.
wanted to pick up the mantle and have a 5K named after him. That's going to be on September the 7th, and it's going to be around the Metro Center areas where they're going to run. So hopefully we can come out there and support them because the proceeds will go to the Northwest Y MCA.
All right. State Representative Vincent Dixie, District 54, our political analyst. Also, Metro Councilwoman at Large, Delicia Porterfield. Thank you so much. You know you always have an open invitation to come back.
Thank you.
All right. Brother Dixie, we'll see you on the next episode.
All right. I don't mind sharing with the council lady.
Right. Remember, top things you need to know, okay? And that is number one, make sure that you are eligible to vote and you have not been purged from the record. All right? And then go vote, cast a candidate, and the ballot for the candidate of your choice. All right. Thank you as always. And remember to respect your father and your mother. Love your brother and teach your sister how to be a lady. Till our next show. It's been our pleasure. We hope it's been yours.
You've been listening to Let's Talk with your host, Ernie Allen. The views and opinions expressed on Let's Talk do not necessarily represent the position of this radio station or management on the subject matter. Let's Talk is a presentation of the News and Public Affairs Department of 92Q. Check out this and previous Let's Talk shows on